Mississippi meteorologist Taylor Graham here with the latest on Hurricane Ida. We got in the 10 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center, and Ida still a monster of a hurricane, Category 4 status with winds near 150 miles per hour. Still moving to the north and west at a pretty good pace, but it's slowed down a little bit since our last update. It is inching closer and closer to making landfall in southeastern Louisiana, and this is going to be bringing, unfortunately, devastating impacts to that part of the state. Here in South Mississippi, we're still going to be feeling the impacts, no doubt about that. We will remain on the east side of that system, and Ida will begin to slow down a little bit more going into Sunday evening and also into Monday morning. It does look like the wind field, or at least the tropical storm force winds, have begun to move into South Mississippi. That wind field extends about 125 miles from the center of Ida. Power outages still possible today, and the surge could be as high as 12 feet in Hancock County.
J. Allen Toyota rents cars. That's right. We've got a Hey everybody, Jay Allen here for Jay Allen Toyota, I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. It's August, it's hot, and we've got our hot used car clearance event going on all month long. We're looking to sell every used car in stock. Check them out at Jay Allen.
First Alert Tropical Weather Update is sponsored by Senior Medicare Patrol.
South Mississippi feeling the impact of Hurricane Ida, the storm tracking towards Louisiana. But as you can see from the WLOX Storm Tracker, Ida's winds are already pushing up storm surge. Parts of the beach covered all the way to Highway 90. And look at this live look from downtown Bourbon Street. This is New Orleans as the rain is coming down from Bourbon Street, the heart of the French Quarter. And a live look here in South Mississippi, Hancock County, from the Silver Slipper Tower Cam, waves lapping up all the way over the beach. Hard to even tell where that beach boulevard really is. And this just in, Hancock County is now under a curfew from 6 p.m. tonight to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Hancock County officials just issuing that curfew again, 6 o'clock tonight to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Officials do not want you to leave your house. Shelter in place, bunker down the best you can. We want to make sure everyone stays safe as conditions deteriorate. Look at, we already showed you a look from Bourbon Street and Wesley. We are certainly watching Hurricane Ida as it inches closer to the coast of Louisiana.
Yeah, we have that live satellite picture. So this is a look at what Ida looks like from space. If you're out in the International Space Station looking down, that is a space eye view, if you will, of Hurricane Ida. You can clearly see that eye very well defined, very close to the coast of Louisiana. Just what a powerful monster of a hurricane this morning. Even though the most extreme impacts are expected in Louisiana, we will still not be spared some impacts here in South Mississippi, as we've been showing you from those views. Now, this is a look at Highway 90. We have had some information that there are some spots in Long Beach, for example, that have water covering portions portions of Highway 90. We just got that information in minutes ago. But this is a site in Biloxi, and where we have this tower cam pointed, it's from the roof of the Beau Rivage pointed toward the west. The Mississippi Sound is now covering 90%, I would say, of the beachfront. There's just a little bit of sand left, and then it's going to probably cover that too, and then it will likely go onto the road. I can actually zoom in with this camera and show you that we actually do have some parts of the Mississippi Sound coming into the parking lot of the Biloxi Lighthouse parking lot there. So you can see right in this, I'll grab an arrow and show you as we show you this storm surge that is occurring this morning. There's the parking lot. This right here, this section in the eastmost part of the parking lot is submerged with water from the Mississippi Sound right now. So this is just a few feet away from Highway 90. We are going to very likely see Highway 90 go under in much of South Mississippi. It's already kind of done that in Hancock County. As you can see, there's no more land. It's all water right there near the Silver Slipper. The waves crushing through the coast right into the inland areas. And our final view, it's also impacting areas that are not along the actual coast, but up into the bays too. This is Back Bay in Biloxi from the IP Casino Resort and Spa. You can see I-110 there for reference. Look north of the bay, right? This spot right here. You can see the water pushing inland. So we have the surge water coming in from the Sound into the bay and then moving ashore in northern parts of Back Bay there. So it is moving through and into parts of D'Iberville right there, as you can see in that view. Here's a look at the rain amounts that we've seen, because it's not just a surge threat, but it's also a heavy rain threat. Those are our two main threats. I know it's a major hurricane and everyone wants to think about the wind threat, but it's really for Mississippi, South Mississippi, going to be mainly a surge and rain threat. That is what is the greatest threat to life and property here. You can see the rain amounts over the last 12 hours, upwards of 4 inches. So we are seeing some rainfall flooding likely about to occur in parts of Hancock County as we can begin to see more of these rain bands. And we're seeing them right now on First Alert radar, especially this little cluster of banding right there that's going to be rolling right on into parts of Hancock County. Those are going to be capable of producing some really torrential rainfall, and we can't rule out the threat of tornadoes with some of them as well. Right now, no warnings in effect as far as tornado warnings, but we are under a tornado watch until 7 p.m. today. So there's a look at Hurricane Ida, the center of the storm. We get another measurement on this. It's definitely closing in. That was an earlier measurement. Here's a look at how far the center is from the coast of Louisiana, about 30-40 miles away. So we are just hours away from that landfall. Let me give you an update on the stats. Max winds category 4, and they've not changed the wind speed. It stayed at 150 miles an hour. The motion, we're noticing very slowly but surely it is slowing down. Don't want to see that. When a big storm like this is about to make landfall, that's the last thing you want, is to slow it down, especially over water, because that will, first of all, give it more time to intensify over water. Second, is going to prolong the impacts. So this is a long duration event when a system is slowing down. Now we got the hurricane hunters flying through, and they've measured tropical storm force winds 150 miles away from the center. That's the yellow zone on the map there that is touching South Mississippi right now. The red zone, the hurricane force winds, those are closer to the center, only 50 miles away, and they are starting to hit parts of coastal Louisiana there near Grand Isle. But thankfully, for Mississippi's sake, that red zone is not expected to come our way. And we can see the winds right now sustained 20 to 30 miles an hour from the east. The gusts upwards of 30 right now. We continue to see wind gusts upwards of 50 and even upwards of 90 at that one particular station, that site there, Pilot Station East in Louisiana, which, by the way, I mean, you measure the distance from that to Hancock County and you're coming up with a number less than 20 miles. So yeah, hey y'all in Bay St. Louis, you got 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts just 20 miles away from you. It's been that way for much of this morning, thankfully and mercifully staying away from the Mississippi coast, even though it is such a close call. But Hancock County, you're going to be the closest to this wind threat out of all of us in South Mississippi, as you'll be the closest to the landfall and the closest to the eye wall, which will be in Louisiana. There you can see we do have a new forecast cone that just came in. So it is going to be inland by less than 6 hours from now. And it will be decreasing in intensity, thankfully. But I mean, even inland, north of Houma, still going to be Category 2 with those winds, and then getting farther inland as we go into later. So that's why they are under a hurricane warning. They're going to get the brunt of that core of the storm. We are a tropical storm warning because we are going to get that yellow area where the winds top 39 miles an hour sustained with higher gusts. This should give you a good idea of where we are seeing that chance of tropical storm force winds. Look for the blue line for Mississippi, for Gulfport, and we're going to stay in that between now and Monday morning. So it's a long duration. You know, we have 24 hours here to deal with this, and that's just the greater than 39-mile-an-hour winds. But when you take a look at the greater than 74-mile-an-hour winds, those are also going to be up there, not for us, but for Baton Rouge and New Orleans. They're seeing those high chances, even Cocodrie, Louisiana, near the landfall, of seeing those winds at hurricane force, but our chance of hurricane force wind near zero. We can see those gusts that are going to be, again, topping 30 and 40 most of the day today. Into the 50s and 60s we go by this evening. And even as windstorms are concerned, I want to give you a comparison. Obviously, our last big storm was Zeta last year. So I've got Zeta's track on the right, Ida's track on the left. And this is why everyone wants to know, how can a storm make landfall in Louisiana so strong and we won't get such strong winds? This is your answer right there. It's because Zeta rolled right on top of South Mississippi. It rolled directly over Picayune, directly over Wiggins. Ida's not going to do that. It's going to stay left or west of us, and that is why we can be spared the most extreme wind from Ida. As you can see, the latest forecast track keeps it west of New Orleans and west of Mississippi. But boy, those waves are really coming up, 24 feet. It's a pretty tall wave out there in the Gulf of Mexico as we see the water being pushed toward the coast. The storm surge warning still in effect. 6 to 9 feet Harrison County, 4 to 7 feet Jackson County, 8 to 12 feet for Hancock County, and it gets even worse out by the Louisiana coast, 12 to 16 feet. Putting that in other terms, by the way, when these surge waters come in, they go up the rivers. You're going to see some of this causing river flooding along the Pearl, Wolf, Biloxi, and Pascagoula rivers. And some of the bays, we just showed you that on the IP cam, seeing that water piling up into Back Bay. I want to put it in perspective for you, though, as far as how our big storms have been over the last 15 years, surge numbers. We would get, as the current forecast says, we would get about 12 feet of surge at worst. You compare that to our biggest surge storms here, it's not going to be worse than Katrina surge-wise, but it will likely be worse than Zeta last October's surge in South Mississippi. So keep that in mind, that whatever surge we had last October is likely going to be worse based on the latest forecast, at least in Hancock County and possibly in Harrison County. Might not be the same way for y'all in Jackson County. Look at the rain bands hitting us from now through lunchtime. Then we get into continuous rain with the core of the storm as we go into this afternoon and this evening. Watch out for tornadoes. We are under that tornado watch. The continuous rains will go all night long into parts of Monday. So that is our main threat. We just showed you why we don't have a high wind threat, but we will see, again, even though it's not a high wind threat, tropical storm winds are going to cause power outages. They are going to cause significant damage. It's just not going to be as extreme as Louisiana. And again, we will see the main threat from this for us, mainly rain and surge. So wrapping up your 3-day forecast, again, your impacts today, tonight, tomorrow, and then the storm will move far enough away from us by Tuesday that we will begin to see